Imagine digging into a legal case where, ambulance chasing isn't just some colorful phrase,
Right.
but it's actually the central allegation. We're talking claims of cash bribes, secret video recordings, and this really high-stakes battle over clients.
Yeah, it gets pretty intense. What does it actually take to uncover a story like that? And, what happens when the legal system itself has to grapple with these kinds of explosive claims?
That's exactly what we're here to explore today. We're taking a deep dive into a civil lawsuit. It's known as Law Offices of Lawrence Perry Biondi, PC versus Horn, Anteorkidia et al.
Right, that specific case, index number 533992020, filed up in Westchester Supreme Court. It's what's called a tort other case.
Okay.
Which is basically a civil lawsuit alleging some kind of wrong, but it doesn't fit neatly into the usual boxes like, say, a car crash or med mal.
Gotcha.
Here, the allegation is this wide-ranging scheme of, well, unlawful client solicitation and diversion.
Yes.
Poaching clients, essentially.
So our mission today is really to navigate through all the source material. We've got court filings, judicial decisions, these really detailed affidavits, deposition transcripts.
A lot of paper.
Oh, yeah. I'm really curious to see what surprising facts and, key insights we can pull out about what really went on here. You'll hear about everything from the first accusations, the procedural fights, the conflicting stories, and then how it all wrapped up.
So the plaintiff here, Lawrence Perry Biondi's law firm, they kicked this whole thing off on March 3, 2020.
Right.
They sued the firm, Wingate, Russotti, Shapiro, and Halpern, LLP. We'll probably just call them WRSH to keep it simple.
Good idea.
And they also sued several of its attorneys, Eric L. Horn, Clifford Shapiro, Carmine Goncalves, and a non-attorney, Anteorkidia Horn.
And that initial complaint, it was pretty broad, wasn't it? Like 7 different allegations?
Yeah, 7 causes of action, as they call it.
Yeah.
Things like tortious interference with contract, which is basically saying they messed with Biondi's client agreements. Violation of judiciary law, section 487. Defamation, saying they spread lies, unfair competition. Civil RICO, which is a big one.
Huge, yeah.
Civil conspiracy. And they even asked for a permanent injunction to stop them.
So Biondi was essentially alleging, like you said, classic ambulance chasing, making false statements to clients to get them to jump ship.
Exactly. And claiming this caused, significant financial loss and hurt Biondi's reputation, the core claim really pointed to this systemic campaign.
Right, using cash.
Financial inducements, deceptive tactics, sometimes working with healthcare providers or even litigation funders.
Interesting. So how did the court react initially? Was there an early ruling?
There was. A key moment came pretty early, September 24, 2020. The court made some big decisions on which claims could actually move forward.
Okay.
It tossed out Biondi's claim under judiciary law, section 487, mostly on standing, basically saying Biondi wasn't the right party to bring that specific claim related to conduct in other court cases.
And the civil RICO claim. That's usually a tough one to make stick.
Yeah, that didn't make the cut either. R-Yellow, it's a powerful tool originally for organized crime, but you need really specific proof. These predicate acts underline crimes, a pattern, continuity, affecting interstate commerce.
Lots of hurdles.
Exactly. And the court said Biondi's allegations just didn't meet that high bar for specificity. Punitive damages were also out, at least at that stage. The judge felt the alleged conduct wasn't quite at that level of moral reprehensibility needed.
But some claims did survive.
Oh, yes. And this is important. The court sustained the claims for defamation, unfair competition, and tortious interference with contract. Those core issues stayed.
And civil conspiracy.
That one was sustained, but sort of in a limited way, only as a theory of vicarious liability, meaning you couldn't sue just for conspiracy itself, but if an underlying wrong like defamation was proven, conspiracy could be used to hold WRSH potentially responsible for their agents' actions.
Okay, so the main fight over clients and alleged shady tactics was still very much on the table.
Definitely. The heart of the dispute remained.
All right, now that we've set the stage, let's really get into the nitty-gritty. What were these actual allegations of client poaching and bribes? What evidence did Biondi put forward? Sounds like it started with witness affidavits.
It did. Pretty compelling ones, too. First, we have Juliano de Araujo's affidavit from July 24, 2018. He stated under oath that Anteorkidia Horn and Eric L. Horn, the WRSH attorney, came to his home uninvited.
Wow, uninvited.
Yeah, and offered him, get this, $50,000 to switch from Biondi to WRSH.
$50,000, just like that.
Just like that. He said they followed up with persistent harassing calls after he refused, and he made it clear he hadn't been looking to change lawyers at all.
That's quite an allegation. Was he the only one?
Not at all. There's Iomar de Araujo. His affidavit is from March 6, 2020. He actually did leave Biondi briefly, then came back.
Okay.
He affirmed that Anteorkidia and Eric Horn also showed up at his home, offered him $15,000, and promised to pay off a lawsuit-funding loan he had if he switched to WRSH. He actually expressed regret about accepting it.
So another alleged cash offer, plus dealing with loan funding. That adds another dimension.
It does. Then there's Adriano Nobrega's affidavit from May 26, 2020. His story is a bit different. He recounts repeated in-person solicitations by Anteorkidia Horn, but at a New Jersey physical therapy clinic.
Ah, the clinic connection.
Right. He alleged Horn offered cash payments and loan forgiveness and made disparaging remarks about Biondi, trying to get clients to transfer.
And Jose dos Santos?
His affidavit, July 24, 2018, he said he was contacted by someone he knew as Orquidia Anteorkidia Horn from WRSH, pushing him to switch. He declined the offer, even though no specific dollar amount was mentioned in that instance.
So the common thread here is pretty clear across these affidavits.
Absolutely. Unsolicited offers of money or other financial benefits, all aimed at getting clients to ditch Biondi and sign up with WRSH.
It really highlights that ethical tightrope, doesn't it? Where does aggressive marketing cross into unlawful solicitation? And proving intent, that seems incredibly hard.
It is. But what's fascinating here is how these affidavits were later backed up, or at least elaborated on, by deposition testimony. That adds another layer.
Like with Adriano Nobrega.
Exactly. When he was deposed on June 28, 2022, he didn't just repeat his claim about being offered $30,000 by Anteorkidia Horn and another person, Manuel Fraga. He went further.
How so?
He described seeing Horn regularly at that physical therapy clinic, Delasu Physical Therapy, or Aeron. Said she was asking patients about their lawyers, suggesting they could switch and get money.
Okay, consistent story.
But here's the kicker. He took video recordings of Horn at the clinic.
Whoa, really? Video?
Yes, video showing her interacting with patients. He produced these recordings, arguing they showed a pattern of unlawful solicitation. He even named other people he said were approached.
Having video, that's potentially huge in a case like this. What about others?
Well, Fabio Souza, who worked for Biondi doing transportation and translation, he testified on the same day, June 28, 2022. He didn't witness offers directly, but he heard about them secondhand from clients.
Like who?
Like Giuliano and Iomar de Araujo. He said they told him Anteorkidia Horn offered them money, specifically mentioning Giuliano's alleged $50,000 offer, plus covering his lawsuit loan, and that Horn badmouthed Biondi, calling him untrustworthy or suggesting he made secret deals.
And didn't someone say they were approached at Biondi's own office?
That was Jose Carlos de Souza in his deposition on July 8, 2022. He testified someone named Carlos, acting on behalf of Anteorkidia Horn, contacted him during his initial visit to Biondi's office, trying to get him to switch lawyers right then and there.
Right at the start. Wow.
He said no and told Biondi immediately. It suggests the alleged outreach wasn't just happening at clinics.
And there was talk of it being more widespread?
Yes. Roberto Passos testified on July 15, 2022. He spoke about conversations he had with roughly 8 people in the Newark community.
Okay.
And these individuals claimed they were paid by Anteorkidia Horn or her associates to leave Biondi. One apparently received $15,000. This points towards potentially a more systemic practice, not just a few isolated incidents.
15,000. These aren't small amounts being alleged.
Not at all. And finally, you have the plaintiff himself, Lawrence Biondi. He was deposed twice, July 2021 and March 2022.
What did she say?
He confirmed his firm is small, works on contingency, meaning they only get paid if they win. He testified multiple clients told him they were approached by Anteorkidia Horn and others from WRSH, offered cash, heard negative things about him. He also confirmed getting and reviewing Nobrega's video evidence.
Did he address why someone might do this?
Interestingly, yes. He explained his firm pays associates generous salaries, specifically to discourage them from feeling the need to solicit clients improperly. Sort of an internal safeguard attempt.
Okay, so that's a pretty strong stack of allegations and supporting evidence from Biondi's side. Paints a picture of a really aggressive, maybe systematic strategy.
It does.
But like we always say, there are two sides, usually more. So let's flip the coin. How did WRSH fight back against these really serious claims? What did their clients and attorneys have to say?
Well, WRSH came forward with their own set of affidavits from 5 clients who had actually switched from Biondi to them.
Okay, who are they?
Marcos Bueno de Cruz, Daniel Caldas, Salamalaz, Jorge Cerrito Salgado, and Wessel Marquez de Oliveira.
And what was their story? Did it match Biondi's narrative?
Completely different. The key thing here is that each of these clients stated uniformly that their decision to meet with or hire WRSH attorney Carmine Goncalves was entirely voluntary.
Voluntary. No pressure, no money.
That's what they said. No coercion, no threats, no offers of cash. They typically said they heard about Goncalves from a friend or someone they knew. And crucially, many expressed dissatisfaction with Biondi's firm as their reason for looking elsewhere.
So that's the counter-narrative. Unhappy clients looking for a change, not poached clients.
Precisely. That's the core of the defense argument. These were willing transfers driven by dissatisfaction with the prior lawyer.
Makes sense as a defense. What about the defendants themselves? What did they say in their depositions? Eric Horn, for instance.
Eric L. Horn, the WRSH attorney and defendant, he testified back in April 2021. He did confirm he received referral-based compensation, typically around 33% to 40% of the firm's fee, if he brought a case in directly.
Okay, standard practice in many firms.
Right. He admitted visiting that Aeron physical therapy clinic, but said it was to distribute marketing materials and network. He claimed he was invited by the clinic's owner, Elisee Nascimento.
And his wife, Anteorkidia, the one named in so many allegations.
He denied she had any formal employment with WRSH.
Okay. What did Anteorkidia Horn herself say?
She was deposed in May 2021. She flat out denied soliciting any clients.
So how did she explain being at the Aeron clinic so often where Nobrega filmed her?
She described those visits as purely social, just going to have coffee with the owner who she said was a friend. She did admit being in patient areas and talking to people who turned out to be WRSH clients, but claimed they were also friends she knew from the community.
Friends who happen to be patients and WRSH clients.
She also talked about being very involved in Newark churches, saying this community involvement helped her gain trust and led to referrals for her house cleaning business.
House cleaning, interesting. And the other WRSH attorney named Carmine Goncalves.
He testified in June 2021. He confirmed a lot of his clients over 30 were treating at that same Aeron physical therapy clinic.
Over 30, that's quite a concentration.
It is. He acknowledged meeting the owner socially and attending events with medical providers. He said WRSH routinely substitutes into cases already handled by other firms, which is common in personal injury, and discussed how the firm handles compensation and performance reviews, noting they were pretty informal.
So the defense paints a picture of essentially normal business practice, networking, clients switching due to dissatisfaction, no improper payments.
That's their narrative. Voluntary transfers, legitimate networking, denying any direct solicitation or financial inducements. A stark contrast to Biondi's claims.
You know, when you have two stories this different, this contradictory, with such serious claims on both sides, the real fight often happens in discovery, right? Trying to get the evidence.
Absolutely. And this case then moved squarely into that procedural battleground. And that's where things get really complex.
I can imagine. Just reading through the list of motions, 14 motions, it makes your head spin. The sheer amount of legal work, the costs.
Oh, yeah. It's a reminder that so much of the legal battle happens long before you even think about a trial.
What were some of the critical moments in that fight, the rulings that really shaped where the case was going?
Well, it was definitely a discovery war, as you put it. Those 14 motions tell a story. And notably, WRSH filed at least 5 motions for protective orders. Biondi argued this was basically them trying to block discovery into this alleged solicitation practices.
Trying to keep information hidden.
That was Biondi's take. Early on, we had that motion to dismiss from WRSH in May 2020, which led to that first ruling we talked about, some claims out, some in. Biondi also tried to get WRSH to put legal fees from these switch cases into escrow, using something called an order to show cause in June 2020.
Did that work?
No, it was denied. WRSH's lawyers basically promised they were following ethical rules and would honor Biondi's charging lien.
Ah, the charging lien. The original lawyer's right to get paid for their work eventually.
Exactly. It ensures the first lawyer gets a piece of the pie if there's a settlement or judgment later. So the court accepted WRSH's assurance on that.
Did the case itself change over time, like the specific claims?
Yes. Biondi successfully moved to amend the complaint in February 2021. They wanted to add 2 more client cases, Salgado and Malaz, who they claimed were diverted after the lawsuit was already filed.
Wow.
Yeah, and they also cleaned up the complaint by removing the claims that had been dismissed earlier. The court allowed it, saying it wouldn't unfairly prejudice the defendants.
So the discovery process itself sounds like it was just a roller coaster. Fights over who testifies when, what they can ask.
Total roller coaster. Big fights over compelling depositions. The court eventually ordered Biondi deposed first, then Eric and Anteorkidia Horn. WRSH tried to re-argue that, but got denied.
What about witnesses who weren't part of the lawsuit, the non-parties?
Huge battles there. Confidentiality was one issue. WRSH wanted a confidentiality agreement for depositions of non-parties, citing sensitive info. But the court denied that in July 2021, emphasized the broad policy favoring disclosure. The judge basically said investigating solicitation didn't warrant special secrecy.
Okay.
Then WRSH filed motions trying to limit or block Biondi's non-party witnesses altogether, like a motion for conditional preclusion in late 2021, and more protective orders in August 2022. They argued Biondi wasn't complying with rules or subpoenas were too broad. Biondi fought back, saying they'd served subpoenas correctly and the questions were relevant.
And then there was this whole issue with witnesses in Brazil, right? That sounds complicated.
Extremely. That was the Brazil deposition standoff in October 2022. Remember Giuliano and Iomar de Araujo, the ones who gave those affidavits about bribe offers?
Yes, the $50,000 and $15,000 offers.
They were living in Brazil. WRSH moved to prevent Biondi from taking their depositions remotely, arguing it was legally impermissible to depose someone in Brazil for a U.S. case like this. Biondi argued, hey, we've done other things remotely in this case, why not this?
That sounds like a really critical point for Biondi's case. How did the court rule on that and the other late-stage discovery fights?
The rulings came down on May 3, 2023. On the protective orders and subpoenas for other witnesses, the court kind of split the difference. Some subpoenas got quashed if the witness clearly had no personal knowledge. Others were upheld, but with strict limits like a 45-minute time limit, and questions restricted only to the solicitation issue.
Okay, trying to keep it focused.
Right. And the court denied WRSH's attempt to get the whole complaint thrown out for alleged discovery violations by Biondi. The judge didn't see clear evidence of willful noncompliance.
But the Brazil depositions, that feels like the big one.
It was, and the court granted WRSH's request for a protective order. It precluded the depositions of Iomar and Giuliano de Araujo. The court agreed with WRSH, finding that taking depositions in Brazil under these circumstances was legally impermissible, and Biondi hadn't shown it was actually feasible. That was a major blow to Biondi getting that specific testimony officially on the record for trial.
Wow. Losing the ability to depose those two key witnesses, that must have really hurt their case.
It certainly seems like it would have weakened it significantly, relying just on the earlier affidavits versus live deposition testimony under cross-examination.
So after all of that, the allegations, the denials, the videos, the discovery war, the Brazil ruling, what actually happened in the end, did Biondi v. Wingate go to trial?
No, it didn't. The case ultimately wrapped up pretty quietly with the filing of a stipulation of discontinuance on March 24, 2023.
A discontinuance, so just stopped.
Basically, yeah, dropped.
And the big question is why? Was it a settlement? Did money change hands?
That's the thing. The source material explicitly states it remains unknown whether this was by way of settlement, but it may have been voluntary and without consideration.
So we don't know if Biondi got paid to drop the case or just decided to walk away.
Exactly. It's unclear. But the timing is interesting.
How so?
This discontinuance happened relatively shortly after that court ruling that blocked the remote depositions of those two key witnesses in Brazil, Giuliano and Iomar de Araujo, the ones with the bribe allegations.
Huh. So Biondi loses the ability to depose those witnesses, and then soon after, the case gets dropped. You can draw your own conclusions, I guess.
It certainly raises questions. The case ends without a judge or jury ever deciding who was telling the truth about the underlying facts. But the source material we reviewed makes a pretty bold claim connecting this case to something bigger.
Whoa, what's that connection?
It states, and I'm quoting loosely here, that regardless of how the Biondi case was resolved, the conduct alleged against WRSH is consistent with the allegations in our federal civil ICO complaint. That's a separate case. Roosevelt Road Re, LTDV, WRSH.
A federal RICO case. What are the allegations there?
That complaint charges WRSH with operating a scheme involving staged accidents, inflated medical treatment, and fraudulent litigation. Much broader allegations of systemic fraud.
Wow. So the source is basically saying the client solicitation alleged in Biondi fits the pattern of a larger alleged scheme.
That seems to be the implication. And looking just at the evidence gathered within the Biondi case itself, even though it's discontinued, the source argues it's substantial.
What does that record support? in their view?
It argues the record strongly supports needing an investigation into WRSH's broader operations. You have multiple affidavits, depositions detailing firsthand or very close secondhand reports of client poaching, bribe offers, misrepresentations, all allegedly by WRSH agents.
So connecting the dots from this case.
Right. The source suggests the combined evidence, the sworn statements, the deposition testimony, Nobrega's videos, the court fights it all supports a credible allegation that WRSH engaged in systematic, coordinated, and unlawful client solicitation.
And potentially linked to others.
Likely, yeah. Likely in tandem with complicit medical providers and litigation funders, is how the source puts it.
Complicit providers and funders, that fits with the federal RICO allegations too, doesn't it? Inflated treatment controlling the case.
Exactly. The source says this alleged behavior in Biondi is consistent with a scheme that appears designed to manufacture or exaggerate claims, control the treatment path, and maximize settlement values through manipulation and fraud.
Did the depositions in Biondi show links to specific medical providers?
They did. The testimony from WRSH attorneys Eric Horn and Carmine Goncalves revealed, significant overlaps with New Jersey providers. Error on physical therapy came up repeatedly.
The clinic where Nobrega filmed Anteorkidia Horn.
The very same. Also mentioned were Dr. Mark Rodriguez and Dr. Thomas Halpern. Both Horn and Goncalves admitted having personal or professional ties, going to events with them, sharing clients. Goncalves even confirmed, as we mentioned, over 30 of his clients treated at Aeron, and that WRSH took over numerous cases already in progress at that clinic.
So the picture painted by the source is one of potentially close coordination.
Yes. And based on all this, the source makes a pretty strong call for action.
What kind of action?
It concludes that these findings warrant immediate investigative action into WRSH's client intake, their referral practices, any financial ties to non-employee solicitors like Anteorkidia Horn was alleged to be, coordination with specific doctors and funders.
And even potential criminal conduct.
Yes. Bribery, fraud, conspiracy. The source urges a formal inquiry by oversight bodies and prosecutors to, as they put it, preserve public confidence in the civil justice system and prevent further abuse.
Wow. So even though this specific case was discontinued, the analysis of its record points towards potentially much bigger issues needing investigation.
That's the takeaway from the source material, yeah.
We've just unpacked a really fascinating, complex legal deep dive here, following all the twists and turns of Biondi v. Wingate, accusations of ambulance chasing, detailed evidence from one side, firm denials from the other.
Yeah, from alleged cash offers and secret videos to those intense discovery battles over witnesses in Brazil. It really shows how incredibly difficult it can be to prove or disprove these kinds of allegations about unethical client acquisition in the legal world. It's often murky.
It really is. And for you listening in, curious about how our legal system works, maybe the realities under the surface, what does this dip dive suggest to you about client-attorney relationships, about professional ethics, and what about the role of these third parties, the clinics, the litigation funders that often operate sort of in the background of personal injury cases?
It definitely makes you think about the pressures and incentives involved.
Absolutely. And this case, even though it's finished, kind of leaves us with this lingering question, doesn't it? In such a competitive legal market, how can the system really make sure that when a client chooses a lawyer, it's truly voluntary, truly informed?
And not influenced by, cash under the table or misleading information.
Exactly. And what mechanisms, what checks and balances are actually strong enough to hold potential bad actors accountable and protect the integrity of the whole civil justice system?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? A lot to think about there.